I am Laura Martinez, now West, since getting married. I am 25 and I'm a teaching assistant.
I'm Aaron West. I'm 27, nearly 28, and I'm in the army.
We met online on a dating profile on Facebook. He winked at me first. We first met each other at the ball, didn't we?
Yeah.
In town, the bull ring.
I was a bit nervous.
Well, the first thing you ever said to me was, wow. We'd been together for 6 months when you proposed.
Yeah. I sort of got an idea of what kind of ring she liked, and then I went out and bought one. I said, "Happy birthday, will you marry me?"
Yes. Immediately I said yes.
Perhaps love is like a lasting place, a shelter from the storm.
Before I met Laura, I never thought I would meet someone I'd get married to. I knew then it was like, this is new to me, so it must be love.
He is so different. He makes me laugh, really makes me laugh, and makes me feel safe, and I really appreciate that. But at the same time, he finds me funny. Been together for nearly 7 years, and for 4 of those years he's been in the army, and that was before we got married as well. Like when he went into basic training, that was in 2010, so we'd only been together for 2 years. Basic training was horrendous, wasn't it? Because there were times when we couldn't even talk on the phone.
Actually, I think spending time apart is a good way to know if you really want to be with that one person, because we spent time apart like not long into the relationship, and I knew I just want to get back and I want to see her, and it was going back to her that made me feel like I was at home.
Why we got married was just to solidify what we already had. So for love, definitely. But the contractual aspect of it does help, like if we have kids and stuff. But that's not why we got married, not the contract. Normally egg fried rice, my version anyway, because that's what he likes.
If there's no traffic, the fastest I've ever done it is 7 hours. Usually about 10 hours.
It's a big step to take, isn't it?
Nervous, I suppose.
You wonder whether you're doing the right thing or not.
I'm Iris Jones, and I've been a farmer for my working life. I am 73.
I am 78.
We got married in 1941.
I think we were married in 1961, which is...
I was bloody boring for you.
53 years ago, I met Iris.
Nothing terribly romantic about it.
Shall we get married?
And I must have said yes. I didn't think that we'd find anyone else to foot the bill. It goes on into the marriage in the beginning, isn't it? But then after a while, you're sort of making a life together with your family.
When you're single, you think about yourself, and when you get married, you got to settle down.
So you do have many arguments, because you probably a lot of time you're tired and you're pushed, and patience is lost quite often.
When you're feeling really strongly about the argument, I suppose the thought does enter your mind, but nothing serious.
I suppose 9 times out of 10 as well there. You were busy and there was work to do, you just got on with it. And then a little while you forgot about it.
Most difficult one would be...
A few things come to mind. I suppose when our youngest son was ill, that was very hard.
Was diagnosed with leukemia. That's, I think that was the hardest one to accept, isn't it?
But as I say, we've still got him, so. Sticking together as a family, I suppose, and being there for them, and just time. I think we supported each other. I think we all supported each other. I think myself that choosing the right partner is very difficult, because this year perhaps you change so much in yourself through the years that perhaps what suits this 10 years, as time will go by, you grow apart, because you're so different. You're different.
Well, it's what expectations in life, isn't it? If you both want the same thing, it certainly makes and see things the same way.
Makes it more interesting though, doesn't it, when it's not?
Yeah. But I think you'll learn to live together. You accept what you get. Marriage is about give and take.
Hello there, I'm Neil.
Hi, and I'm Jackie. We got married last year in Cyprus. Well, we've known each other since university, haven't we?
Oh, yes.
But I was already married at the time. I got married quite young, actually. I was 22. Very quickly I had 2 children. He was a lovely man, and he still is, obviously. But we sort of grew apart. I think it was because we were too young and we didn't really know each other. I wasn't a very confident teenager. I had quite a hard upbringing, and I didn't have much self-esteem. So obviously when Richard came into my life, I was extremely flattered and grateful, if you like, and just jumped at it, because I thought if I didn't marry him, nobody else would have me type of. My first marriage was too stressful, too fraught, worrying about if everybody was okay, and there was just too many people. The first service, it was a church service, so it was about 45 minutes. And then after that, it was a reception at the Dog and Fox, which is in Wimbledon, up the hill. And then it was a honeymoon after that, so it was a traditional wedding.
I think marriage is a commitment. Personally, I never liked entering into a contract about where love is concerned.
I certainly think that you need to get some life experience under your belt before you get married. We were friends long before we were actually partners.
I didn't really have a plan to get married. I was quite happy to just enjoy life, explore life, and travel. I think I met Jackie, which changed that.
There's a saying that opposites attract, but I would totally disagree with that. I think that you have to have lots in common with the person that you're going to have a relationship with. You need to share interests. You need to share ideologies as well.
Indeed.
Definitely. It's good to argue, and we argue a lot. I'm just glad that we're still the same. We're still the same as ever we were.
Oh, yeah.
And that's what we wanted to achieve, really. Marriage is just a title.
Yeah. We've got over some interesting times in the last year. I think we're looking forward now from what we've built on to even better times, even happier times.
My name's Kristen, and I am 28 years old. I'm a postgraduate student at the University of Birmingham. My flatmate told me that yesterday was the Chinese Valentine's Day. I have never celebrated Valentine's Day. I've had 2 previous boyfriends, well, 3 if you count the 2-date guy. But I've never really enjoyed it. I don't like it. I like my space. I can't have somebody with me like all the time. That would just be really annoying. I don't really want to get married, and through the few dating relationships I've had, I've realized that I don't even really like dating that much. Like 9 years. I've been single 9 years. Sometimes I feel lonely, but I think it's because I'm so far away from home right now. I don't mind going to movies by myself. I go out to restaurants and eat by myself. Being by myself doesn't really bother me at all. I met Brandon. He happened to be my cousin's boyfriend's brother, and she brought him to Thanksgiving dinner. That the relationship wasn't going anywhere. I didn't love him. No. Well, I really love my freedom and independence. So in 10 years, I want to have a good job. I would like to have hopefully bought like a condo or a townhouse, something small, something that I can take care of by myself. And I want to travel. Ever since I've been 18, I've actually been working to try and get my tubes tied. I was told that I should wait until I was 25 because I could change my mind. So when I was 25, I went back to trying to get my tubes tied. And then I was told, no, you're too young, you'll change your mind. And it's always been very like condescending, like you're young, you don't know your mind. When you meet the right guy, you'll change your mind and you'll want to have his babies. And it's always really made me mad. So I'm almost 30 and I haven't had my tubes tied yet because the doctors keep thinking I'll change my mind. But I don't want to have kids. I definitely don't want the responsibility of children. My parents know that I don't want to have kids, and they know that, they know me. They know that I don't really date and things like that. And they don't pressure me or anything like that to like date more, to go out more. I think there's like a lack of trust there. I don't trust people. Marriage is more than just a contract. You're commingling finances and things like that. And I don't think marriage necessarily means that you are more sincere in those things than somebody who chooses not to get married. You would think that women are choosing to get married for love and that like everything is equal and fine. But when it comes to household duties, it's still very much skewed towards women. Women do more housework and women are more responsible for taking care of the home and taking care of the children. Even now, even the fact that women work and have a job that could be just as important as their husbands, when that kid gets sick, who's expected to take the time off of work to go take care of the child? It's always the woman.
Looks like washing day.
More than 4 decades after being granted the right to equal pay in the workforce, many women are still not receiving it, and on top of
life can be hard, let's be honest. And it can be so much easier to have somebody else there with you to help you figure it out. And there are times when having 2 incomes would just make life so much easier than just relying on yourself. I know as a single woman that I only have my income, and if anything happens to my job, then I'm in deep trouble. And so it's kind of nice if you have somebody there, because not so much it's like a safety net. It gives you a safety net and a sense of security. And so I do understand that. It can be really hard. I travel by myself and it can be really hard because it's up to me to find my way everywhere we're going. Whereas if you're traveling as a couple, you can be like, I have no idea where we're going, where are you going? And you guys can figure it out together, that sort of thing. I don't necessarily think that you're weak for wanting that. I think you actually might be stronger for choosing to couple up with somebody and sharing resources and skill sets and things like that. And it can make life easier. But I don't want that.
Hi, I'm Peter. I'm 34. And I've been a teacher for 10 years.
My name's John and I'm 40 years old and I work in universities as a disability support advisor.
This will be our 4th year in October.
Feeling good, very good.
It feels a lot longer than 4 years actually, but in a good way. You know, he's my wonderful partner. He's my soulmate.
Maybe 2 or 3 relationships with girls before, but they were never very serious. I think I was in relationships as a mask.
I've always sort of known that I'm more interested or more attracted to men than women.
Probably from a very young age, I knew that I was different, that I was sensitive. I wasn't interested in the same things that a lot of the other boys were interested in.
In the earlier days, when it was really quite difficult, because we were basically, more on my side, we were living like a secret life. Some quite dark times before I ever met John.
I think that's when Pete came out to his parents. I think that's when my happiest moment was. Just making sure that Pete received enough encouragement and enough support from me. I think the most difficult time in the relationship that I had with Pete was a trip that we took to Edinburgh.
Edinburgh was a very, very sort of pivotal time in my life, that 2-3 days.
It was at a time when Pete found it very, very stressful indeed to be together outside of my apartment.
On occasion, I was under such pressure, such stress, that I could barely speak.
And it was very difficult to generate conversation.
I felt deaf and blind.
I thought this relationship isn't going anywhere really.
And on the way back, driving back, I wasn't fully aware of John's intentions.
And I thought, right, okay, I've had enough now. It was a long, long drive. I was trying to generate conversation and Pete was just giving me one-word answers.
Because my head was somewhere else.
And so on, and I just thought, this is it really. I just can't continue with this. So I'd made a commitment then to end the relationship as soon as we got back to Liverpool. And Pete came up for a cup of tea, and then he went. He left, and so on. And then as he went out the door, I was like, okay, well that's probably the last time I'm going to see him now. I'll give him a call tomorrow, and then break things off, and that'll be it. And I went into my bedroom, and on my pillow was a
little Edinburgh postcard.
On the postcard was written,
"Thank you for making me feel so alive."
And I thought, okay, I can hang on.
Probably the best postcard I've ever bought. As our relationship developed, it got harder and harder to leave the flat.
And harder for me, I think, to let him go, because I knew that you were going to return to an environment where you were deeply unsatisfied and lonely and uncomfortable, and that was very hard for both of us, I think.
Yeah, there was a few occasions where I remember one night in particular when I was really quite upset walking down the stairs in the flat, wasn't I, to the front door, and I got about 5 minutes into my car journey and I was so upset I just had to turn around and come back. So I literally turned the car around and drove back to the flat and buzzed the button and said, "I'm back." I've come back. So it became very, very difficult to leave on some nights. Because it was like you were going back to the real world in a way, and not that my time with John wasn't real, quite the opposite, but that it was a different kind of real, that wasn't a very nice kind of real.
One world dead, and the other powerless to be born. It's like you're going from one world that you know is for all intents and purposes dead, and there's no colour in it, there's no enjoyment in it, and then the other world you're just beginning to experience, but it's still in its infancy, and you can't quite make that leap and that jump into that world because you don't have enough faith. But if it wasn't for those people in the 50s and 60s in the UK who blazed a trail of strength and bravery and courage and sacrifice, that we wouldn't be where we are today. Enjoy the right of marriage, enjoy the right of having children if we want to. We can enjoy the protection that the law provides in case people are homophobic or people are hostile towards us because of our sexuality.
Everyone's love is equal. So my love and respect for John is seen in the eyes of the law equally as, a male and female couple.
Till you're home again. You belong to me. spent a lifetime stuck in silence, afraid you'll say something wrong. If no one ever hears it, how we gonna learn your song? So come on, come on, come on, come on. You've got a heart as loud as lion, so why let your voice be tamed? Maybe we're a little different, there's no need to be ashamed. You've got the light to fight the shadow, so stop hiding it away. Come on, come on. I wanna sing, I wanna shout, I wanna scream till the words dry out. So put it in all of the papers, I'm not afraid. They can read all about it, read all about it. Oh, 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 oh. Yeah, we're all wonderful, wonderful people. So when did we all get so fearful? Now we're finally finding our voices. So take a chance, come help me sing this. Yeah, we're all wonderful, wonderful people. So when did we all get so fearful? And now we're finally finding our voices. Just take a chance, come help me sing this. I wanna sing, I wanna shout, I wanna scream till the words dry out. So put it in all of the papers, I'm not afraid. They can read all about it, read all about it. Oh, 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 oh. I wanna sing, I wanna shout, I wanna scream till the words dry out. So put it in all of the papers, I'm not afraid. They can read all about it, read all about it. Oh.
Mary and John sitting in a tree. Kissing. First comes love, then comes marriage, then comes the baby in the baby carriage, sucking his thumb, wetting his pants, doing the hula hula dance.